Nigel Farage right to call Elon Musk a hero? 0207 862 2222. The Reform UK leader praised billionaire Musk as a hero of free speech at the right-wing conference in America last night. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
If you remember 2020, in November, you couldn't say anything about the conduct of the election in this country. You then couldn't say anything about vaccines or about lockdowns without social media closing you down. And then along came the hero of free speech, Elon Musk.
Well, Musk was at the same conference, but didn't quite return the compliment. He instead was showing off a chainsaw gifted to him by Argentina's president. Take a look.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy. Chainsaw!
The chainsaw apparently symbolised the shredding of the bloated state. And now that's what Musk is planning to do with the Department of Government Efficiency. And Farage's praise of Musk also follows the apparent rift between the two men last month when Mr Musk said that Farage just didn't have what it takes to lead that party reform to victory. So was Farage right to refer to Musk as a hero? Let us know your thoughts on that. Marvyn. What's your view?
I felt like...
Where's your chainsaw?
No, I just went into a portal of stupidity and I just snapped out when you looked at me and I almost was just like... The chainsaw on stage, the like celebrating somebody who just called you an idiot like about a month ago. The whole thing
doesn't that show maturity though? No, somebody can say mean things to you and you can still appreciate their positive aspects.
If I ever spoke about you in that way, next week, if you started introducing me and being I'm amazing, I'd be like, oh, you lost it. I think the bigger concern is that he's not a hero of free speech. And he just created a zoo and chaos. The amount of people who have left that platform that Musk has purchased is outrageous. And what's really interesting, as soon as people on the left decided to leave the platform and move to Blue Sky, immediately everyone on the right wing wanted to follow us so they can follow us and yell at us and tell us what they think and feel. It's like, keep your platform with your right-wing ideas on X and everybody's leaving. It's just like, no one wants to have a conversation.
Twitter had deplatformed people like Trump. Elon Musk bought it and brought him back and said it's all right, everyone should have a voice.
There's a threshold of integrity of how people should act and communicate if they would like to be heard. If you're creating ideas in public discourse that are dangerous and cause harm for people, which it directly has, and I have been a consequence of that, whenever I do any form of TV, you think the show afterwards is like, it's great to hear what you think, Mr. Nice Man, with your freedom of speech. It's insulting my children, it's insulting my race, it's insulting every single thing about me that they can find. I receive that on a daily basis. If that's what free speech is being protected for, then great. But when I move to a new platform to have healthy, interesting dialogues, you still follow me to tell me that I must hear you. That just tells me that absolutely your agenda is completely different to what you're presenting. And I don't want to participate in the zoo of a crazy man on stage with a chainsaw because he's worth X amount of billions. It's like, if I did that right now and got a chainsaw and started jumping around and being like freedom of speech, you wouldn't invite me back, I hope.
I would run out of the studio.
Yeah, I would run out of the studio as well at that point. We've heard what Marvyn has to say. We're going to take a pause there. First, back to whether Nigel Farage was the right to call Elon Musk a hero. This is a hero of free speech. 0207 862 2222. Now, the Reform UK leader praised billionaire Musk as a hero of free speech at a right-wing conference in America last night. Tim, was he right to do so?
Well, hero probably wouldn't be the word I would use.
What word would you use?
Well, look, what Marvyn has quite rightly just talked about, his exercise of freedom to leave Twitter, X, where I think we call it now, to somewhere that is more pleasant. And I get that. Some of the abuse on Twitter is extraordinary, and particularly towards women, I think. It's out of control at times. And I don't see the worst of it, but I know it's there. And it has got worse since Musk bought the company. But at the same time, and I think it's a big but, if you want to find out something now about anything, you can find it on Twitter.
But do you know you're getting factual information?
Well,
because
I think,
of all the big social media platforms, Twitter is the worst for disinformation.
It absolutely is, and it is the best and the worst of humanity. And I can completely understand why some people want to walk away from it. But during, the pandemic, something that Nigel Farage referred to, there was real censorship taking place about things like the vaccine. First of all, it was said that it would stop contagion between people. That was not true. There was a censorship about things that we should have been trusted to make our own decisions about. And yes, you're right, there is a lot of rubbish on Twitter and there is disinformation, but shouldn't we eventually start to treat our citizens as adults? Let them decide what they want to believe. And I think we're too much in the business of trying to control the information that people get. And the danger with that is when people think they're being controlled, they won't just sit there and say, OK, fine. They'll actually go to the worst places where there's conspiracies and others and believe that. So I think it's better that we don't censor, even though that is risky.
Isn't that Twitter the place where there's conspiracy theories and
Twitter isn't just where bad people are, though. It's mixed up with people who are making more sensible judgments as well. And we should be together, not separate.
All right, Daniel from Lancashire, what's your view on this? Is Elon Musk a hero of free speech?
Can I just say thank you, and it's nice to see Matthew as well. I think
earlier.
Elon Musk, he has views on Nigel Farage.
Yes.
He doesn't like him.
Yeah.
Nigel Farage knows that, but it makes me sick. It's like the old days where we stuck like Blair stuck with America and we went into war.
Daniel, isn't it a sign of huge maturity to be able to take an insult from somebody and say, maybe you've got a point, maybe you don't have a point, but still appreciate the positives in that other individual, to not take it so personally because why should you hate someone that doesn't like you? You might actually think they've got great values.
No, right. Yeah, I get you, but it just comes across as a slimy. He likes to stick. He likes to stick with the Americans. He wants to do what the Americans doing. He's ahead in the polls. Yes. And that's kind of scary. It's normally brain-dead people who vote for him.
Well, hold on. OK, there's no point slinging insults. Why are we all slinging insults?
Sorry,
that's not what we want to do.
That wasn't an insult. That's an accurate
brain-dead people.
He's ahead of the polls, and it scares him.
Brain-dead people.
He's saying people that vote for him are brain-dead. Now,
in the beginning, that was some of it.
Daniel, the question is not whether you like Farage or not, it's whether his statement is correct. Do you think Elon Musk is a beacon for free speech?
I saw a video of him yesterday in Argentina, and he had a chainsaw. And
he was in America, but he was with the Argentinian president, so you're absolutely right. We said that earlier.
I think Nigel Farage wants to Elon Musk.
OK, Daniel, thank you very much for your call. Matt from Peterborough, what's your view on Nigel Farage's comments about Elon Musk?
I think that Nigel Farage is right. I think Elon Musk is a hero.
Go on.
I think that is what we need here. This where he's cutting away the government and cutting away civil servants. I know that civil servants, Ministry of Defence civil servants in Whitehall, we've got 65,000 civil servants. Pen pushers on desks, and we've only got 75,000 soldiers. So we've nearly got one civil servant for every soldier.
This is starting to sound like a complaint about government rather than a compliment on Elon Musk.
I just think, when you look at what Elon Musk is doing, Elon Musk, he's a millionaire. He doesn't need to get involved. Yeah, he's a billionaire, isn't he? What I'm saying is he doesn't. He doesn't need to get involved in anything, does he? But
no. So here's the question, Matt. You're absolutely right. He has billions and he's got lots of projects on the go. He does not need to get involved in politics. Why is he?
Because I think he wants to sort of he wants to do good, doesn't he? I think at the end of the day,
he says he wants to save humanity. Have you been on X recently? Is that saving humanity?
I think so. I think I think like free speech. I always say that everybody is entitled to their own opinion, and I think in this country, if we look at these grooming gangs, that were grooming kids, in Muslim grooming gangs. What I'm saying is, Labour weren't prosecuting anybody or mentioning it or flagging it because they were potentially Labour voters, and they don't want to upset these Muslims because they're Labour voters.
Can we interrupt
Matt,
that,
I don't think that was at all accurate. That nobody was bringing up grooming gangs because of voting. But certainly this is something that Elon Musk has trampled all over. But the problem with Elon Musk and the problem with X, as I said earlier, is that when you give freedom of speech to everybody, facts and opinions tend to get muddled up. And what you have is just a huge amount of disinformation. Like we've seen with the latest riots, a name was put out there, assumptions were made about an individual, and those assumptions were proven to be wrong. And yet we still had riots and we had, people going to prison over it. That's the sort of thing that we don't want. Is free speech always good?
The thing is that with them riots, the government could have sorted that, couldn't they? They could have turned
They acted fairly quickly. Keir Starmer was praised by many people.
By me too.
No, he held on to the information, didn't he? He was doing that thing where he was like, I'm not allowed to tell you anything because in case it affects the police investigation. But what I'm saying is that all them riots, if they had just come clean and gone, he's not an asylum seeker, he's lived here so many years. I mean, let's be honest. People have car crashes, and their name is slapped across the local paper like the next day. So, saying that somebody was living here and they weren't an asylum seeker, that wouldn't have prejudiced the investigation.
I feel that is avoiding the debate that we're having, which is, does free speech sometimes encourage misinformation, which can cause things like the riots? And I think factually we've seen, yes, it can.
I think all these things. I think if you watch, I always thought that Tommy Robinson was just like a racist thug, right? But I would recommend anybody to go onto YouTube and watch his. I think he did a talk at Oxford University, and he talks through his life as a child in Luton and how he's got to the place he's got to, and at the end of that, he got a standing ovation. So what I'm saying is,
anyone can get a standing ovation, Matt. You've just got to be in the right crowd. But I take your point. Thank you very much for your call, David. From Southampton, what's your view on free speech and whether Elon Musk is the pinnacle of that?
Well, let's get back on track, shall we?
Yes, thank you.
All that lot was going on earlier. Thanks, they are all basically. Trump, Musk, Farage are all exhibitionists.
Okay.
And they want to hear themselves.
Nothing wrong with that, David. As a presenter, I'm going to sit here and say, a lot of people have an ego.
Fair enough. But the thing is that we're talking about with Musk and Farage.
Yes.
Farage keeps on licking his ice cream, and so therefore, what could happen is that, and it will happen because, free speech is, as you say, they will drop Farage as soon as they want to. Farage will not gain anything by doing what he's doing with regard to saying things because he is an exhibitionist. He wants to be heard, right? Okay.
Sorry, I think you're getting into the relationship between Farage, Musk and Trump. I think that's what you're getting at there, that Trump and Elon Musk will dump him.
Look, David is right. They are exhibitionists in temperament. That's true of a lot of people in politics and public life. But I don't think that's the real issue. The fact is that Musk allows people with very different views, diametrically opposed to his, to exist on Twitter. Before Musk bought Twitter, there were a whole range of views, including Trump himself, was banned from Twitter. There were stories in the last US election between Biden and Trump, where, for example, there was a controversy over Joe Biden's son's laptop that Twitter completely censored. And yes, they're exhibitionists, but
white-
they also
that's a
have a
whitewashing.
respect for other people's views.
That's
what makes them special.
Of what has actually happened on X, and the amount of people who are left-leaning who have had their reach suppressed quite significantly to the point they've chosen to leave the platform. While his own tweets are the most viewed tweets by anyone in the world.
They're always the first when you go on it. I don't know whether that's
and I
because...
don't even follow him. I think I've blocked him.
That may or may not be
so,
true about the level of promotion, but it wasn't an outright ban.
Okay.
That was the difference.
Fine. David, thank you very much for your call. Thanks for all your calls on that.